let's make this winter tree scene. Here's what you're going to need. Some barn board, some dark blue paint, maybe a light blue possibly, some white paint, some sticks, something to cut your sticks with later, various paintbrushes, your choice. We're mainly going to paint with this one. We're going to use these for decorative finishes. And if you want, maybe something decorative to put on your tree or on your... All right, let's get started. So I've added some blue paint to my palette, and I've wet my brush. As dark blue as you want. I want it to be like a night sky, so I'm just going to move that over there. I'm going to brush this on. We are covering up quite a bit of the barn board. Fill in here because I want that to disappear. So one of the things when you're painting on barn board, if you want a lot of coverage, you're going to need to stamp the paint in to get into all those little crevices. Quite often I don't want a lot of coverage. I want to show the barn board, but sometimes I want it fully covered, and in this case I do. Now I'm leaving a little bit up here. I kind of want some to show, right? Like, what's the point of using barn board if you don't show some of it off? It just goes to show you can use any kind of wood you happen to have. And now while it's still wet, we're going to add a different color blue. In this case I chose some turquoise, just to blend in and make the night sky appear a little more vivid, a little more two-dimensional, three-dimensional, two-dimensional I guess. So I wet my brush and I add the turquoise paint, just blending it into the brush that was already painted with the dark blue. And if you find that it's too much, although the lighting on this makes it appear more than it was, you can always go back in with the dark blue and go over it again, or you can let it dry, go over with the dark blue and start again. So there are ways to correct it, but be a little forgiving and just realize you want dark blue to show and turquoise to show, and you want it to be well blended together. Before we go ahead and build the tree, I've decided I want to add some snow at the bottom for the tree to stand in. So I'm just going to take a clean, dry brush like this and add some white paint. I'm just going to dab it in. I kind of want a hill effect. So this is dry. The paint is dry on the board. Fill that in. And we're just going to make like a tiny little hill. And if we want, we could add a touch of blue for a little bit of snowy blue look, for a little bit of depth. And I am good with that. Maybe a touch more white, so just blend it a bit more. And I'm going to stop there. While that's drying, I'm going to turn it around and add the snow effect. So all you need is the ends of your brushes are what we're going to be using here, the solid end, not the brush part, but the ends. We're just going to dip it in the white paint and dab it like this. You get about 3 or 4 dabs before you have to go back and get more paint all over your board. The reason I have different ones is I have different sizes, so I want big snowflakes. Snowstorm going on here. Now the tree's going to be in here, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, but make sure there's a lot more at the top. Just randomly. You see every time I dab it gets a little bit smaller until I run out of paint on there. And the last thing you can do is take a brush wet it, get a tiny bit of paint on there, and then tap. If you get too much, that's okay. Just go back in with a touch of your blue, dab over it. To cover it up. And you're good to go. So our snowstorm is going on there. Add a few more snowflakes in the background. Make sure you dab over where you've done any repairs. And now let's get started on building our tree. So we're going to need our snippers, whatever they call these, and the sticks that we've collected. We won't need all of these. This is just to give you a bunch of things to work with, but I'm going to start with a branch right here, and I'm going to build my tree up this way. So I need something about that wide, I think, to start at the base. So I'm just going to cut the tree. This stick is pretty dry. It's been sitting in my house for a while, and then I'm going to make one smaller than that, so I probably want it about that big, and then the next one should be smaller again. We're just building the sort of triangular shape on a pine tree, and then go through your sticks and find some other sort of straight ones, so that will probably work. All right. This is very sort of organic, and you can use less straight sticks, whatever you want to call it. Let's see, just going to keep using what I have here, so that's not quite, I can switch these around like this. You're going to build your tree, basically, is what you're doing. So start with the thicker ones at the bottom, so I can actually use this as the very base. Like that. And that might be too wide, so I'm going to cut that down so you can trim them. And then I'm going to trim this one down. And I'm basically just breaking them using my snippers here. And I want that to be smaller. You can have bark hanging off of it. It's all, the whole look is sort of primitive and organic. That's what we're really after. So we're going to have different colors of wood here. And I want slightly smaller there. Whoops, where did it go? Up over here. And we're just building a layout for what will be our tree, essentially. Now I think that I might need something thicker there, so I'm going to choose something else. So you can use bits that are laying around like that. I think that would be perfect. And then I don't want them all straight. I kind of like them not perfectly straight. So going like that. You just get your layouts kind of figured out. And I want that to be smaller. You could put one on the top to make it more like that. The other thing you could do if you wanted to, if this was more Christmassy, is you could take something like this and put it on the top of your tree. I want this to be a winter scene, so I'm just going to go with the wood. But that's just to show you that there's options. Okay. And so now you just play around until you get the look you're going for. And I think I really like that. So now I'm just going to start gluing it down into place, exactly where the layout is. So I wanted that to look like it was in the snow. I believe it does. And then there's the first one. More glue in the glue gun. Yeah. Such a cute little craft for not a whole lot of money. It's whatever wood you happen to have laying around. Pull that bark off. I feel like it's going to cause me problems later. And that one. And then this one. What I think is the last and final step is I'm going to add some white paint onto the tree just to make it look like a little bit of snow on the tree. So I'm just going to, on the ends of the branches, touch it with some white paint, make it pop out even more. And here we go. You could put that up there if you wanted to, if it were that kind of thing. Get that glue gun stuff off there. And we have finished. I'm feeling like it's a little disproportionate. I feel like there's a lot of space up here. I could have painted a star in here, and that would be cute. I think you could do that. I would have painted it in yellow probably. But here's one of my favorite tricks as a farmhouse crafter is twine fixes everything. So I'm just going to take some jute twine and I'm going to wrap it around a few times here. And not straight across, just, and you fill up that space with something that's organic. And I think it just does a great job in filling in sometimes when you need to. So often I will staple this on, but since my glue gun is already heated up, why don't we just do that? So flip it over, get these two ends, you can tie them in a little knot if you like, just to be sure that they're going to be someplace. Now you can use this to hang your sign as well if you like, and then just throw some glue in there. Make sure it's glued to the wood. And there you go. Much better. Gotta love twine. It fixes just about everything. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and let me know if you make one.